players that are Wei and Ziedzie for both respective teams, but we see how influential this ADC matchup actually is in totality in this series. Now, EDG need to bounce back into game number 2. Maybe Blue Side does that for them. They ban away the Annie as well as that Vi Nico we saw in the game number 1. We get the Lucian, the Melio, and I have no doubts there's going to be a Yuumi ban here as well from RNG.
Yeah, almost certainly. Practically around the world, the trade is always, okay, if Melio is banned, Yuumi must be banned as well. Sometimes it happens on the same side. They actually go towards the Aphelios. Okay, so do they want EDG on Yuumi / Zeri? Are they making them pick? This is a very interesting opening to the draft, because now with Yuumi up, it does make you wonder, well, for EDG, surely you have to snap it up, right? Like, you can't leave this demon up, because if you do, then you get, you know, Yuumi plus a pairing for RNG, so it has to be picked up. So let's see what RNG's plan is here, because they've very intentionally left it up to just go Nautilus? Question mark?
And I'm just saying that RNG just gave the world champ his world champ skin, maybe, if Mako wants to go ahead and grab that one. We'll see if he decides to take it. I know a lot of times when we see their skins being taken, it's only in moments of seriousness for the most part, maybe not all the time. We do get that Nautilus locked in for Lumao, though, and it provides a lot of that forward-centered engage for RNG, but also some roamability for Lumao. And if RNG want to continue to go aggressive through Wei, that is crucial to connect with the Kazakhs.
Okay, so we saw how important support counterpick was in game number 1. All right, so we'll see whether or not it weighs in the same level of importance as I don't care what the jungle pick is here for EDG. I'm going to be honest. Like, there's a Kazakhs on the other side. There's plenty of things you can pick into the Kazakhs. It should just be a Yuumi. And at that point, you've got Poppy here, Zeri as well, right? Smile, right? And then at that point, it feels pretty hard to ever engage on, you know, this, who I like to call Thanos, actually. Zeri plus Yuumi, once the items are in. With all the dashing. Okay, it's a Draven for LP. Go. So this was the plan. All right, this makes more sense. This makes way, way, way more sense. Because now they can actually bully out the 2v2. They can even, you know, in ideal worlds, even look for dives. So for EDG, this is something where they do have potentially a very strong foundation for a very defensive draft with the Poppy already in. It's going to be about JJ's early pathing and ensuring that the bottom side lane state never flies out of control.
It's also Ziedzi's Poppy. I know we were talking about it with Lyric last night while I was on the cast with him, and this is a pick that, you know, he is one of our top Poppies. The way that he manipulates the map pathing, the way he's able to get under matchups that maybe he shouldn't even be able to, is so big for him when he's on Poppy, but specifically in this game, because RNG are sitting there. They're still in the upswing from game number 1 after I've knocked the front tooth out of EDG, and they already have their left hand coming away for the knockout punch right now. It is literally all aggression from RNG.
Yeah, exactly. So it does make me very, very antsy about what their R4 is going to be in terms of a solo lane pick, right? Whether they're even going to look for, you know, maybe even a flex pick between Tanyuang and Breve if they have one in the back pocket to kind of keep EDG guessing. I think from the perspective of EDG now, you just pick defensive scaling. I think it's the only way to, like, realistically play out this game. Maybe from the side of Arla, if you can find, you know, a very strong balance between something that can survive, but then also something you can play around. Poppy can very easily thrive on tower dives, right? She is absolutely excellent at diving stacked waves, just because it's pretty difficult to get away from that wall stun. So we'll see where Arla decides to go on the top side of EDG and where RNG are going to go on this R4, because they've banned away 2 very, very powerful top lane picks. The LeBlanc with the stack Shiv is likely going to come out here for Tanyuang, and, you know, it's very, very difficult to play around. I will say it's another dash for Steadfast Presence, Mazel, to potentially, you know, disrupt, but who cares? Because it's going to be stack Shiv, clear wave, roam into fog, and create pressure towards the bottom side.
And I expect something to split push as well here as the 5th pick for them. They are approaching this with a pick-centered mindset, pull EDG apart where they are looking for team fights. The Gragas definitely provides a very strong presence for EDG, and we have seen a rise in the Azir. Maybe something that Fofo wants to play. It's also something he was able to pick out very successfully in their first game yesterday. So I do want to see kind of coming into fruition here for EDG's composition, the way they use a lot of this comfort. It will be off the back of Ziedzie, no matter what in this early game.
Yeah, it definitely will be. I mean, for EDG, rounding out their composition like that, it's kind of a mix of what I was asking for, right? Something somewhat defensive from the top side so that if JJ has to play 24/7 around the bottom side, he can, you know, ensure that this Draven and Nautilus isn't flying off the handle, getting too many 2v2s or anything crazy like that. But also something you can play through, because Gragas into Ornn is something you can play into on occasion, but that is what's been locked in here for RNG as well. So more scaling or buffering up the mid game or the mid to late game here for RNG is a perfect pick, right? Because now they've also got an additional layer of range non-committal engage, which they can try and lock down that Zeri, and now also the Azir with too.
And it helps bridge their late game, right? Where you're looking across there, you're like, oh my God, I never want to see EDG anywhere past 25, 30 minutes, where that Ornn item culmination definitely helps to some extent, but it is still about picking apart EDG early and often for RNG, and might just be jumping from momentum to momentum here from game one.
Yeah, it definitely could be. See what kind of pace is set here from the side of RNG, but also I'm very curious about how EDG are going to handle whatever pace RNG set down here on the table. I think JJ is in a very precarious position where a lot of pressure is weighed on his shoulders, Mazel. He's going to have to do a lot of heavy lifting in the early game to negate some of this pressure from the bottom side and especially from the mid lane matchup too.
Well, we're getting into the rift now. Game 2 kicking off, the legacy of Uzi and RNG on full display. But RNG, with their new page turned, feeling mighty fine as LP helmed and Breathe combined for that first game win. It is an EDG against the ropes here, still reeling from that upswing. And they'll have to make something work with this composition. Again, a comfortable comp that we've seen them execute time and time again, but it's still focusing on if they can get a stranglehold early in this game and control the match to get to that late game.
Absolutely. Jayo's ring and finish off. And RNG, like you said, so much pressure on the bottom side. I will at the very least question, whilst Kha'Zix is obviously a very powerful champion, he's potentially not the ideal kind of champion to run with this kind of 2v2 bottom lane, right? With the Draven and the Nautilus, if you're looking for, you know, sheer kill power. Because Kha'Zix does take a little bit of time to come online, right? To really, really burst out targets very heavily. So I'm very, very cautiously optimistic about how aggressive Wei specifically will be, but I know the lanes themselves definitely will be, right? Tang Yuan is going to be up in the face of Fofo with this longsword start, and definitely LP and Nautilus will be looking to find any engage they can.
The autos just already do so much damage with that longsword start as well. But are you excited for your first static ship game? Are you excited?
So I've been waiting in the sidelines, right? You know, like I said, I've been away. But
I'm glad that an AD item doesn't work on ADCs. As Uzi getting engaged on early on here, that exhaust will be popped, but the cleanse already used. And a nice early trade from LP and Lumao.
Yeah, okay. So Ghost Pop from Uzi, so a little bit of safety and mobility stripped away. Still has the flash, right? But still a lot more vulnerable without that summoner spell. And for LP, the cleanse blown basically just to stop the exhaust and look for that all in. So very happy with that trade. JJ defensively pathing down towards the bottom side. 3 camps into a bottom side hover, right? But there is no real threat. Wei is likely going to just look for a full clear here because he's playing Kha'Zix. So there's no immediate dive coming down. Lumao does a good job of clearing away that ward. So it is pretty dark from the EDG perspective. Actually, this is entirely dark. They are very, very scared. And it's why JJ is actually hanging around despite the fact that he was looking like he was going to path up towards the top side. Because he just doesn't know where Wei is. And you can see RNG is stacking up this wave, and Wei is making his own path down here. But again, cautiously optimistic about how aggressive Wei is going to be able to get.
This is so big. You just have such a big wave, though, that EDG cannot move Uzi up over it and cannot fall more behind than you already are against LP in that matchup.
Yeah, I mean, there's definitely something as Wei will find a bit of chunk.
Oh my God.
Hey, you know, 29 gold printed from first strike feels pretty good, as Arla's going to deny that brutal proc. Very well played, but I think for RNG, they would want more out of a stack wave play, you know, like that. I am being quite critical, but it's something where I feel like you stack a wave like that, you wanna blow more than just kind of wasting Poppy's time. Still, Wei will be able to retreat back to the jungle and get a lot of jungle camps and continue to farm up towards level 6 as Uzi. That was cheeky from LP, man. trying to push Uzi off the wall there so he couldn't skate over. Really nice. And
Give
doesn't
him that
culminate
extra
in anything.
distance. Can't find it though. As we will get that trade of Scuttle Crabs here. So both junglers fine with a bit of early pathing, but Wei will continuously hover down this bottom lane. This is their way forward. Yes, you can try to focus Tong Yuan, but if you get LP ahead down here, that's huge for this matchup because Zeri Yuumi is not a bot lane you just want to leave to their own devices.
No. It's one you often can't in an aggressive 2v2 like this, and you can see now that the wave is bouncing back. It's frozen, right? And now JJ is actually not down here on the bottom side to cover at all because he had to go towards the top side to actually pick up more farm. He's kind of making his way down here now.
Back here, though.
Yeah, he's bolted down. So he's like, you know, I have to be on this side of the map if something happens, but kind of just acknowledges that Wei likely won't stick around for this long, and very fortunately for EDG and for JJ, no play is to be had right now. So this is my problem. Even though there's the Draven and the Nautilus, I feel like it's going to be a very long time until we see LP cash in, unless there's a pretty big misstep here from the EDG side. JJ is going to clear away this ward.
You have to find a way, right? Like, you can't just let this go, keep stacking up, and then eventually lose them at some point, potentially. But some pressure around the map will make it so. No real advantages for LP so far, besides a bit of a CS lead and an awkward lane state for Uzi.
Yeah, awkward lane state. He's down about 10 CS as well, so definitely feels, you know, okay in the moment here for RNG, but it's not like... I think with the way that I look at Draven, right, is I think you want to play it one of two ways. You want to get a very dominating lane where perhaps you don't necessarily get a bunch of kills, but you get a massive stack up, right? You look towards one item, and then you get that big cash in post like 10 to 12 minutes, and it just slingshots you to that second item straight away. Or you play balls to the walls, full-blown 24/7 gank, and, you know, you're playing off of the lethality that Draven so often can have in the early laning phase. Actually, no pun intended, he actually does have a Turk. But yeah, that's what you're looking towards. But I feel like with the Kha'Zix, right, you saw that stacked wave earlier on, can't play off of it because you have a Kha'Zix jungle. That's just how it works. So I think looking maybe for an early dragon take, maybe towards that one item mark, and then you look to try and cash the Draven in afterwards.
Now, we do actually see Wei moving in for some vision control around this dragon, and we could see RNG want to set a bit of tempo here with some push in their lanes to try to get an objective early on. But Uzi will be able to respond, at least for right now, until this wave crashes. And I do wonder if RNG want to just set that tempo here.
Yeah, they are. Get this wave crashed in. I think Tang Yuan as well in the mid lane can always get mid lane priority whenever he feels like... I think New Azir might struggle a little bit harder than he used to back in the day to get lane priority in some matchups, but I think this AD LeBlanc unironically might get more priority than it did back in the day as the AP variant. And there you go. First move can just dip into Fog of War, and it's a little bit too difficult for EDG to check into. And this will be the first dragon picked up here for RNG. No contest.
Now, we were coming into this one talking so much about the history of Uzi against RNG, now Trader on the EDG jersey. But also, we're talking about kind of new bloods versus old bloods and kind of young guns versus new guns. And you were just coming back from Texas, so we got to have the whole Wild West thing. LP came out firing. He was a little bit of Billy the Kid in game number 1. Do you have any favorite gunslingers that maybe we can assign to Uzi to give him a little bit of a prop up here in game number 2, Jabata?
I don't really know any famous gunslingers besides Billy the Kid, you know? Hey, you know, not a real gunslinger from real historical evidence, but Arthur Morgan from Red Dead Redemption, pretty good gunslinger. Speaking of gunslinging, LP's gonna have to do something.
We'll see if we can. We got a little bit of Billy the Kid action going here. Can LP go down? Uzi trying to cut him out. There you go. First blood with the Vayne emote as well. As Uzi is on the board and EDG finally finds something.
But this is the risk, right? We're speaking about the trade-offs and the play styles in which you can use Draven, right? Get him to one item, he's going to have a massive amount of stacks, and then you slingshot him up to that second with a massive cash-in, or you play 24/7 aggression. If you play for that first play style, you're always at risk of getting ganked, losing the stack somehow, and, you know, you get punished so heavily when you die now. It's so much stack loss. So LP no longer looking towards that big cash-in. On the top side, though, RNG do pick up the Rift Herald. So there is going to be a little bit of reprieve here for them, but just a brief moment of not really having perfect wave or a vision control cost them everything here. LP does
Did
hit
get
level
the
6.
blade.
Oh. Oh, LP misclicks. Look in the bottom left. He's leveled up E 2 times. He doesn't have ult, so as soon as he doesn't have ult, he kind of just acknowledges that he's not gonna be able to ever kill JJ here.
Man.
Bit of a misclick in the moment, unfortunately, for him.
That's actually so huge. As definitely a mistake LP's going to want back on this Draven pick. You pick this pick to set a tone in the bottom lane. Speaking of tone setting, though, we got first item completed, and it's Way with the Umbral Glaive. So cheap, but so strong.
So true, but so strong indeed. It's going to give them more vision control, right? That's what the item's there for. You do lack that immediate punch, but as soon as you pick up the extra Dirk on top of it, you're... I don't think you're mathematically damage even, right? But you're in the same realm, more or less. So, for Way, a little more packing punch
guess
power
what?
right now.
There's a certain item that's just hit the game, and I know you're talking about Thanos snapping earlier with the Zeri Yumi, but I think there might be whatever Thanos times a million is, and it's Static Shiv.
Yeah, I guess Tang Yuan is Doctor Doom. If you know your MCU, you know what Doctor
I
Doom
love
is
the
up to.
mix of like MC universe plus Wild West gunslingers and ballet. We just have like chaotic universes colliding over here.
Yeah, you know,
It's the multiverse.
You know, you said I was a long way from home, and I mentioned, you know, I'm not Spider-Man. That did also just come out recently, so I guess we are across the universe, Mazel. I guess that's just how it works here today.
Across the world and across the universe. Jamada, what do you think about that? Now, it is a serious point, though, because Tang Yuan will be able to set a lot of tempo in lane by being able to continuously push with this item completed.
Yeah, it's going to be really, really obnoxious. You can already see, speaking of across the universe and across the world, that Tang Yuan will damage you with Static Shiv from across the universe and across the world whilst clearing the wave. So
don't even get me started, man. I went on a whole spiel last night with Lyric.
Look at
this is just ridiculous, man.
Wave almost entirely cleared. Now all he's got to
Just
do
wait.
is
It's
distort
not
once.
even. It's literally one item. Just wait till he gets 2, 3, 4, 5. He's doing like half people's health across the screen because of one Static Shiv electrocute. Like, I'm gonna go off. All right, Jamada.
I mean, you know, I was watching the LEC when Humanoid pulled it out. As pause the point, Ala should be able to splash away from the
That's
knock-up.
the flash out though. There you go.
Yeah,
Nicely
good,
done.
good. I don't think JJ has that
caught
same
out though in
privilege.
transition, and there's some damage. But Keeper's verdict is huge.
Yeah, stands steadfast, able to get away. Very fortunate there for JJ. But I remember, you know, Humanoid pulled it out. I think he was the first one to do it competitively, and it was absolutely nasty. Right, there was literally no counterplay, and I think it was Cadron and Dracos on the cast, and they're just like, this has to get disabled, right? Like, there's no way this, but I think it was Medic. It's like, it's just so unbalanced. It's so silly.
But we hadn't seen it in the LPL. Like, we hadn't seen it rise in priority. We saw Xiaohu whip it out last night for Weibo.
Even better, Mazel, is whenever we do swap over to 13-12, Shiv is buffed, right? On 13-12.
Yeah, absolutely. That's what I'm saying. Like, it gets worse. I was literally, I feel like I'm having deja vu because I was going down this whole train of like, this levels just keep stacking up for Static Shiv to just be busted. But we now see that there is some responsiveness in that fashion. Fofo has not gone with a defensive build. He's gone for the Ludens. I know we a lot of times have been seeing Azir's opt into the Crown start when there's a lot of pickup potential. There is here, but I like the damage opt-in. Well, RNG are opting into a second Dragon.
Yeah, you know, maybe he just doesn't build Crown, because if he stands next to a wave, the shift I'm kidding. But
I mean, honestly, you're probably not wrong though.
You know what? I'm probably not far off.
Literally, you just can't dictate when your crown is up because the Static Shiv.
Yeah, actually, I said it in jest, but it's kind of true. Wow, that's obnoxious.
It's kind of like you know what you're talking about, Jamad. It's crazy. Yeah. I know you just getting back, but you're kind of smart. It's kind of nice to have you back, man.
back in the saddle, mate. You know, out of one into the other.
You know the way to my heart. Talking saddle talk. We talk in Texas. We could go on for hours and hours, but you didn't learn about rattlesnake, so I got to question your Texas integrity.
Okay.
Speaking of testing some integrity, though.
No. Before we get serious again, you can test my integrity all you want, but I went to Bucky's again. So
that's all that really matters in the end. Let's be real. If you don't know what Bucky's is, go look it up. LP though going under tower, under a 3-man gank, but more a turret plate steal as 3 have gone over to EDG.
Yeah, interesting. I guess
not
willing to commit.
He didn't get knocked over. That had to be followed by a flash.
Yeah, that sucks for Fofo. If he gets shoved over the wall, then he just walks out of that one, probably for free. Or maybe Wei commits his flash to re-engage on the potential pick. Having to lose his flash basically for free definitely feels a little bit obnoxious there. And like we saw, JJ looked for that pick, or rather knockback, I guess, just to pick up the plate as it was falling off. So, you know, very interesting way to look at it. As Tang Yuan,
look at
with his static shiv, loads of AD and attack speed.
He didn't go the broken build though. He didn't go the demolisher. Xiaohu did that and literally was just taking turrets everywhere in like 5 seconds. It was ridiculous. Like half health from one auto attack with the demolisher static shift going together. That's
yeah, it's really obnoxious. If there's one thing that I'm glad about, and you know, if the balance team are listening, don't get any funny ideas. Is that when you have Shiv and you auto the tower, it doesn't actually, you know, attach to anything else. It just deals extra damage to the tower. Because, goodness me, could you imagine, you know, you auto attacking tower and then boom, Shiv proc onto everything around it? Like, it'd be so obnoxious. But Tang Yuan picks up that tower in the mid lane, and because of all that priority, RNG also picked themselves up the Herald. So it does kind of feel like right now, EDG just don't have anything to play through or for. And that is in part to the design of the draft. You know, they are looking towards, you know, 2 items and then kind of playing from there, but it does make you wonder if RNG can continue to pick up every neutral objective. When do EDG pull the trigger, right? It's the age-old question when you lose 2 dragons in the early game and you're a stacking composition. When do you actually look to make a play?
Luckily, the dragons are there, but yeah, there still has not been enough of a lead gained at 16 minutes in for RNG to really feel comfortable. Yes, you have some bridge building with Breathe, but I still would have liked to see some gold being given in the pockets of some carries. We did get Trinity Force completed there for LP, so a little bit of a damage spike there from him. Maybe looking to capitalize on that 1-item spike that you were mentioning earlier.
Yeah, Triforce, the new build, of course. Flavor of, I wouldn't call it the month. It's been a while now that we've had Triforce in, but Draven has been a pretty good Sheen user for a while. Because the Blood Rush can reset, so you can always have that Sheen proc locked and loaded, all the extra AD. And like you alluded to, now that he's got that first item, I wonder if he will try and find a cash in. He did die earlier on, so the stack's not as high as they could be, which feels kind of bad as... Alright,
oh, I love it so much. It didn't do anything. There's literally no importance of that, but it's just hilarious. It is Wei's ulti down, so I guess there's that. We will get the Whirling Death use, but won't be able to find much other than that wave clear he was looking for. And this is the job of Tang Yuan now. Unlock the map by being a nuisance for EDG to deal with, because they don't necessarily have a great composition to deal with this kind of pressure.
Yeah, they really don't right now. So RNG can kind of continue at the pace they're at, keep EDG on the back foot, look for this next dragon as well, spawning in 30 seconds time. Tang Yuan's going to reset. He's got teleport, but definitely shouldn't need it. EDG, when will they contest?
Do you see what I see here, though? There's a 40 CS lead for Wei, and he has now 2nd item, Duskblade, completed. There is priority in RNG's pocket. Like, that is such a pretty big spike here for RNG, and I want to see them use it.
Speaking of spikes, actually, I think even more important is the fact he's level 11. He's got the Evolve W too, so able to find slowdown. Wait, gonna get steadfast presence
There's still
there.
the Keeper's Verdict, you know, and being able to use that here in this situation to turn back around gives EDG a lot of pressure over RNG, and I think that's the key of this Poppy pick. Against a comp like this, where you have very specific pieces that need to be set up for RNG, you can just up in that in one ability.
Yeah, definitely can. I think EDG or JJ needs to be on the ball with those calls. As Herald's dropped in the mid lane, it's still going to charge, even though it gets shoved back. So,
oh my god!
Hey man, Shelly's been hitting the long jump hit. What can I say? You know, finds the charge,
They've
gets
taken
that
down
tower.
3 turrets already. And now there's no priority because Tong Yuan has already cleared mid. We still have that re-engage now coming through for Breathe. The cast buys some time though, and that's pretty big. Tong Yuan can't really get into the fight here as this is a pick-apart comp from RNG. They are not necessarily a front-to-back. They don't want that smoke in this style of position, and EDG are moving forward to try to force it. Wei will not be spotted just yet. Now it's going in. Wei doesn't really have a way in. The final chapter for Uzi will be popped. Tong Yuan and Wei with a flank. This is big. EDG need to get out of here. Look how much damn damage he does, man. Another kill goes over, though, as it's 2 now for EDG as a whole, but 1 for 1 in this fight. And Dragon did get that reset off. Both teams walking away bloody.
Yeah, Tang Yuan, he's going to have to put on some kind of show to get out of this one. He's got Wonder Store. He's got his ult back up.
Does he know that?
So he's got 2 dashes.
Does.
Well, doesn't matter anymore because he's out. He's gone.
And that's
Bye-bye.
the pressure. Like, it's all fun and well to watch them walk around, but this is literally what you see this LeBlanc do. You are forcing the team to chase you down because, first of all, you know you're so slippy, you're not going to get caught, but you also have so much poke damage. They can't just like kind of let you do what you want, and you're just slowly ceding so much to Tong Yuan, even though not much has happened on the map.
Yeah, it feels so bad. And now RNG with that 3rd dragon can continue to keep that control, it feels like. Maybe EDG will contest a little more consistently as this fight kicks off. Uzi very happily goes forward because there's not as much threat without that Ornn ult up and available, but double Q here from Tang Yuan just kind of removes JJ from the equation, already chunked out from the initial engage. And then they trade off for Lumao. EDG can't really be locked down or find any more lockdown anywhere else because everyone's able to just slip away. As speaking of being locked down,
no! Okay, I don't think I've ever seen Nautilus's legs go that fast, but today we did.
Yeah, you know, obviously that's an interaction.
That was 1 auto, by the way, on Fofo. No big deal.
Yeah, no, it's good. It's fine. You know.
Standard positive gameplay going on here.
Yeah, Night Harvester is
gameplay
really balanced with this build too. It's the one time where perhaps LS will give it a thumbs up.
Just wait for the Lich Bane, man. Just wait for the Lich Bane. It just gets funner. Now, Wei and RNG still in the need with some proactivity of mid lane. They're looking for an engage. Everybody's a bit caught out from EDG, and they're split out. And this is what we've seen from time to time from EDG. They look a bit chickeny with their heads cut off, and it's RNG that'll pounce right on that, get that big old cash in for LP. And Billy the Kid is stepping up against the legacy that EDG represent with Uzi.
Yeah, Billy the Kid, what was it? I think $10,000 back in the day, which is something like a couple million. Feels like RNG and LP just cashed in that with that kill there. And we had the gold flash, but I just missed it. Whenever it is, you know that LP is going back to base with Bank. They'll pick up the Baron as well off the back of this pick. And like you said, a little bit headless, a little bit chickeny from EDG. Get caught kind of just asleep at the wheel in the mid lane, and they lose pretty much everything for it. Starts off JJ. Just kind of slips off to the side of the river, walks into the face of JJ, and as soon as that steadfast presence is down, his defensive presence is gone. There's nothing he can really do, and Breathe actually gets knocked back, still manages to find the cask, and also this searing charge to ensure that
so
Uzi stays in place.
Holy cow. Just on the tip of it.
Feels good, man. Feels good. As I get to see Zeri die. And that makes me feel happy, to be honest with you. Good job, Breathe. I knew I always liked you, mate. As RNG now with Baron should be able to take control of the map, right? There's not really too much EDG can feasibly do. They've got their 2-item Zeri, all fun and games, you know, fantastic. But they still have to stare down the barrel of, you know, RNG with this gold lead, LP with that massive cash-in, and Stack, Shiv, Tang Yuan here on the LeBlanc. There's so much poke and so much mobility where they don't have the consistent hard CC to lock it down.
You got to get back and defend, though. Ala really needing to try and get here as a inhib tower is under threat by LP and Breathe in mid lane. They still have Tong Yuan moving over here, hovering over this tier 2 as Breathe will tank it down, and that inhib tower is nothing but dust. As Tong Yuan is actually already proxy farming the next wave, it is back onto the turret here, and he has been a demolisher in this game. And what a way to step up, right? Tong Yuan is a guy that got replaced by Angel. He was a guy that RNG were attempting to use in spring, and Angel came in, found stability with RNG, and looked damn good. But Tanguyen is a call-up for RNG. It is a project for RNG. And to show up at a moment like this, when we're talking about turning the next pages, we're talking about what the new face of RNG looks like, that's huge.
Yeah, it feels really, really good to have a performance like this. Does help that you are on undoubtedly the most broken champ on patch, but Tanguyen is still putting in the work to make it look even stronger, and we'll find that 600 gold. Ala, I was wondering why he healed up so much, but it was the Jack Show proc with his passive, so
Yeah.
don't worry, it's not broken. It's just the item. As
Tanguyen
indeed
has completed the Lich Bane. Third item there completed. You're also almost done 30 items for LP. Here comes the engage from RNG. They are right in the corridor, but Breathe flashes for it, gets the snipe from LP on a DJ, and they want more. All again lower. The chain does connect on Uzi, but Tanguyen not going to follow that one up. They get the pick they need, and now they are actually pressuring with another 15 seconds of the Baron buff.
Yeah, holy Giga Chad from Breathe, man. Gets cast out of his ultimate and just flashes back into range. Twice he's done that. So insane, and it actually
the
lost
first
him
one
down
was
the
a
kill.
flash, but you know.
Yeah, you know, still doesn't matter. So insane. Even gets himself that unstoppable from the body
That's
cast.
a mountain
And
soul.
now
They are just going right back to the well. And guess who is caught? It is Ala gone down. Tanguyen is just in the mid lane pushing down an inhib. And it's RNG looking at the final pieces to put together this Dragon Bow legacy right now. The only time that they will have to face EDG, but let alone Uzi, here in the summer split until we get to playoffs. And they are making quick work of Edward Gaming.
yes, they are indeed. It's not even an appetizer. It's just straight to the main course, and they are sweeping.
Big engage, Fofo, they got the combo, but right back to it, LP! Cash in those big bucks, Billy the Kid, as Uzi's trying to fire back, but he's just got little petals instead of the lightning that once was. And this is EDG with their backs against the rope down and out, bloody as hell, and they are still kicking, but it's RNG just waiting to figure out how they want to end this one.
All right, Mazel, let's take a deep breath. We're gonna unserious ourselves for a moment. Just for a minute, mate. This is the time where maybe we get to see how powerful Thanos can be. Uzi, 2 items, right? Let me send it to you. Mako got the Ardent Sensor, and he's playing Yuumi. If RNG misstep once, that's all it takes.
How
right?
much of a misstep does it take when you're 10,000 gold behind? Is it like a misstep off of a cliff that you had to walk towards, or is it like you stumbled on a rock while you're walking?
Yeah, no, it's like, you know, you're at the top of the stairs, you miss a step, and then like you kind of tumble, and then you open the front door, and then you roll towards your nearest beach where hopefully there's a cliff, and then you fall.
Ah, yes, of course.
That's
The
roughly where we
controlled
Yeah.
one. We
Exactly.
do see side lane pressure though from RNG. I don't know if that cliff is looking good or bad. We'll see now. Lumao actually getting pretty traded down in here, but Tanguyen is just half health Uzi as Mako's trying to get back to Uzi to try to defend this tower, but Tanguyen's ending the game right now.
Hey,
The engage. LP's getting low. LP goes down actually. Maybe you get to see what you were wanting here. As the 1 kill goes over, Tanguyen has easily taken down a Nexus tower and almost a second one.
Yeah, and I mean, that was a shutdown, and it went to Uzi, right? I'm pretty sure Uzi got that kill credit, so does he get Titanic Hydra? Does he get to do the Zeri Yuumi thing, Mazel? That's the question. RNG right now, still in firm control, right? And
Got 3
Tanguyen,
items.
who can kill this guy? All right. Zeri's at 3 items. All right, let's take a breath. Zeri, 3 items. Ardent in. Mako approaching that second item as well, right? I can't remember what Yumi's actually go second item, because normally the game just ends at that point, right? Could just look, I guess, for maybe
Seen a lot of
Mikhail.
Helios.
Yeah, Helios is like the solo queue thing. I think in comp sometimes you just forego a mythic as, oh, bye JJ.
We've seen a decent amount of Helios from some of our Yumis, not every single one. But Uzi looking to make the spotlight shown on him.
Yeah.
Chunking him down with a paper shredder right now, trying to take him out. As now the re-engage goes through, and JJ gets immediately chunked out. That ain't no paper shredder. That's a guillotine. as a TP from Allah just try to save it, going down. Uzi pops that lightning crash. Uzi's looking for the play. Uzi is the one you got to keep your eyes on here.
No!
He's got 2. He's looking for a 3rd on the breathe, but Tony is looking for the end of the game. You see the faces of EDG. Utter disappointment as a quadra kill for Uzi will end in a shutout spotlight for EDG as RNG make good and they destroy EDG 2-0.
They've done a C9! They've forgotten about the bloody objective of the game! Taguan's just walked into the open back door and said, cheers mate for the hot dinner! Takes the game entirely. Uzi gets a quadra kill, I guess. We started to see a Yumi moment at the very end, but perhaps it was all planned, Mazel. As
It was
RNG
all planned.
very, very happily take this series 2-0.
Again.
Tangyuan, like you mentioned, on that broken LeBlanc bill, does all of the heavy lifting in the end.
Again, it is Uzi versus RNG, 2 names that have known only success together. And the page has turned. RNG has found success against Uzi now in a 2-0 victory to push RNG to 4-4. You can talk about the legacy, the history building, all of the titles that Uzi won with RNG. But that is also something that EDG and Uzi has specifically wanted to strive away from. He wants to re-earn his spot in the spotlight. And tonight the spotlight was all on LP, the new face, the new gun, the new generation for RNG and what they're building towards forward with Wei at the helm as a general.
Yeah, and you know, it was a very, very concise 2 games as well from RNG, right? I feel like the first game was not only, you know, a bit of a smart outdraft by going towards, you know, much so the more defensive pick, but one that also enabled a lot of additional aggression via the Braum. Then in this game, I think, even though I was pretty critical, of course, of the Kha'Zix pick in terms of what it could actually do to enable the Draven, but, you know, once the Diam started to come in, it was all about RNG still because, you know, EDG had put themselves in that position where they had to wait for a very long time for the items to come in. So, you know, I'm from Europe, as it were, so Dynasty Legacy Kings, all that stuff. Uzi has seen all of that, come and gone. And I think today, you know, has to unfortunately see his former organization take him down here in RNG in a very clean fashion.
I will give so much praise over to Wei, though. I think for himself, really the staple of RNG, it feels like now. And the way that he approached it, like JJ is no slouch in the jungle. We've seen JJ monster so many jungle matchups, but even when Wei was seemingly behind in game 2, he was up like 40 CS. He was constantly moving on the map and getting involved, even if it wasn't with kills. And yes, you had a lot of things lean their way, and you had Tong Yuan on the LeBlanc, but it was an impressive performance from RNG as a whole. I think we've really started seeing them kind of click in the way they want to approach games. And it's not just one style. This style for game 2 was much different than what they approached for game 1. Yes, it was still aggressive. Yes, it was still try and fight you as much as possible. But this was that 1-3-1 style or 4-1 style to try to split apart the map.
Yeah, a lot more nuanced in comparison to game number 1, where, you know, realistically RNG could kind of just, you know, take control of an area and then just run back at you once you try and retake control. This one, a lot more about that 1-3 style, like you said, right? Kind of leave Tang Yuan to his own individual prowess and finding windows of opportunity to actually pick up towers and slowly whittle away at those whilst looking for bigger engages from the Ornn, from the Nautilus, which Breeze and Lumao did superbly at the, you know, extensive effort of EDG to try and stop it. Breeze very tenacious on that front. I think
Alla's like, man, I just wanted to cancel one of your ultis. Like, you couldn't just give me one. You had to flash for them.
You know,
you had to.
I think that Tang Yuan will get MVP for this game number 2. I'll be very surprised if he doesn't. But in my heart, Breeze is low-key the MVP of that game, because so many times that you find massive ults that actually just continue to find lockdown for the remainder of the team fight, despite being cast away or CC'd in some capacity. It did actually get them across the finish line, so very well played. But like you mentioned as well, also Wei doing a fantastic job on the Kha'Zix as well, outside of the early game, to ensure that the rest of his team has something very consistent to lean on.
Yeah. We actually do have our interview ready to go, so let's go ahead and kick it over to Christina and see what I believe Tong Yuan has to say.
Interview. I'm Christina. We're joined by Tang Yuan, the millionaire for RNG. Congratulations on your very clean 2-0 victory. First question for you. I know maybe you have been experienced a little bit ups and downs, but in today's matchup, you guys performed very well. So did you make any special preparation into this matchup today? 欢迎汤圆来到我们的赛后采访。恭喜 RNG 今天2-0拿下了比赛的胜利。虽然说此前队伍可能表现出来的状态稍有起伏，但在今天你们是极具统治力的2-0就终结了对面。所以说在今天赛前有做什么样特殊的准备和调整吗？
我们为了今天这场比赛做了很多 BP 和决策，还有队伍的整个走向上都做了很多准备吧。
Actually, we have prepared a lot of things in terms of our BMP strategies and a lot of in-game contents in game. And talking about game 1, how did you guys manage to snowball the game very smoothly? And I think that you guys really played around a lot of objectives. 那么在今天的第一局，首先一上来队伍就是完美掌控了节奏，并且平推了对面。那么想问一下，第一局队伍是怎么样做到如此的完美掌控节奏的呢？
因为我们这个阵容只要做到控资源，然后打好自己团战该打的，然后就能很轻松的拿下了吧。
Because I think, because in terms of our draft, we just need to control the objectives and play around the mutual objectives and take team fights that we can very smoothly get this win. And talking about game 2, I saw you played LeBlanc. I know LeBlanc is a little bit popular in current LPL stage, especially with the static. So what do you think of this champion and with this items? 那么想问一下，我们看到最近妖姬好像特别是电刀妖姬在 LPL 就火了起来嘛，并且是其他赛区可能也会出。你觉得它具体强是强在哪里呢？
电刀强在这版本能很快的让法师处理完线，然后领先回合吧，所以这版本电刀清线很快，这是最强的一个点吧。
I think the most very strongest point for static for LeBlanc is that it makes LeBlanc can clean the waves very fast, very effectively, so you can get leads in mid-laner matchups. And the final question for you, I want to touch on the last shot call for you, LeBlanc. You just destroyed your opponent's next by yourself, so what was your team's communication at that time? 那么最后一个问题不得不问，今天第2局结束比赛的方式是你的妖姬一个人在中路就直接击杀掉了，不对，拆掉了对面的那个门牙塔和水晶。想问一下，当时对面的沟通是怎么样做的呢？
就是靠我的边带牵扯，然后他们正面就不要出事吧，然后就能很轻松的赢下来了。
I was push the waves by myself. As long as our teammates do not die, I can push the waves into the turret and destroy the nexus. And the final question for you, I think you played very well, especially in this summer. So from your perspective, what kind of mid-laner do you want to be? It's in terms of your play style or the other things. 最后一个问题，其实，在夏季赛我们看到汤圆选手是越打越好了。那么对你个人来说，你觉得自己在夏天的成长怎么样？想成为一个怎样的中单选手呢？
我觉得我的成长还算是能一场一场的进步吧，然后我想成为一个能像呼吸还有威这样的人独当一面的选手之一吧。
Actually, I think I have made a lot of progress by each single matchups. I want to be a carry main laner just like our top laner, Breathe, and our jungler Wei for our team. Thank you so much for joining us. 谢谢汤圆来到我们的赛后采访。Back to you guys.
Thank you so much, Christina, and great to hear from